Okay guys, this is the tutorial I bet you guys have all been waiting for. In the last part we got Titanium Studio, and in this part we're actually going to be working with it. Now, Titanium Studio is, you'll start to see the benefits very quickly. It really helps you out with your web pages. Um, One thing that I like about Titanium Studio is when you run the web page, it runs it as like an HTTP server, but this is basically how it looks like. So it looks like your directory is actually the directory, so to speak. So videogameutopia.com/index.html, like, I guess it's close enough to it. um so yeah, we're gonna wanna real quickly, in the last part we learned, in the last couple of parts we've been learning about how to really just put content on our web page. But if you look at our web page, it's kind of bland. So what we're going to want to do is style it up, give it a little bit of, razzle dazzle, I guess. So what we're going to want to do is use our second language that I told you guys we're going to be learning, which is CSS. Now we'll learn CSS right now, and CSS basically goes in the head, and the tag that specifies that you're going to start using CSS is a tag I like to call the style tag. I'm going to close this up, and as you can see, as soon as you close up the tag, Titanium Studio automatically styles it for you, like ends the tag for you. So this style tag takes an attribute that we're going to be using, type. As you can see, as soon as you enter in an attribute, Titanium Studio looks for a value, and the value that we're going to want to use is text/css. So now inside text/css we're going to want to start coding CSS. But CSS, a little intro to it, it basically styles up different tags in the HTML document, which is why we keep it in the head. We prepare it in the head, it's prepared in the head, so that when we enter in the body and the browser has to load up a certain page, it knows, it like specifies, okay, for a body tag, this is what I gotta style. For a header 1 tag, this is what I gotta style. So how do we specify that we want to style up the body tag? It's simple. Just type body. Now define the properties for the document body. That's exactly what we're going to do. Now inside the body, let's say we have a bunch of, CSS, and then let's say we want to start coding up the paragraphs. Well, how do we know where the paragraphs end, where the body ends, and the paragraph begins? We know, but for the browsers, for the sake of the browser, we always enclose our CSS inside these curly brackets, which is achieved by pressing Shift and your regular brackets. Instead of that, pressing Shift will give you these kind of brackets. And as you can see, Titanium Studio automatically closes this up for you. Hit Enter in between, and it automatically indented for you. So CSS takes a lot of. You'll see really quickly the format of how to use it. I guess first thing we could do is set a background color. By the way, if you type in an attribute, it's not doing this now. Hold up. Yeah, it'll automatically try to give you a list of every single CSS tag that you can use. We're gonna want to use CSS's background color property. Now, for simplicity purposes, there's different ways of describing color in CSS, but for simplicity, we're going to make the background color gray. So we're going to save and we're going to run, or we can just refresh. As you can see, we've turned the background into gray. But that's not good enough. The body looks fine. That's not good enough. We want to change the font fam. We want to change it. We don't like this font. We want to make it I don't know. We want to make it well, it'll give you a list of different. It'll give you a list of different fonts. These are all the fonts that you could use. We'll make it not a monospace font. Make it Arial, and then we're gonna want it. I always like to keep a space in between my Basically, the format for CSS is a certain aspect about the tag, and your value for the tag. Aspect, value. I mean, these aren't the actual names, but so tag, curly bracket, aspect, value, aspect, value. So now, if we refresh the page, we now see that our font has become Arial. That's great, but as you can see, by styling up the body, we're basically styling up, all the things inside the body. We want to make it so that the header has a certain font, the paragraphs has a certain font. What we do instead is instead of just keeping all this content in the body, we make separate tags, and we allow to specify different tags. And inside this tag, let's say we want the background color for this header to be, we'll make it blue, and let's say we refresh it now, so you can see this header alone becomes blue. Now, real quickly, before we end off this part, and in the next part we'll actually start using the actual content for our website, real quickly before we go, I just want to tell you guys, well, two major things in the next part are going to happen, but in this part, I just want to tell you guys that it's standard in browsing, you might want to get used to this, that after a certain, after declaring something, like, for example, let's make the, there's many different properties for CSS. We'll make one of them the color. So basically the color is when you just have color, not like, anything on background color or anything. Color basically refers to the font. Let's say we want to make the color yellow. If we save this and refresh, nothing happens. In fact, the entire document stops reading after this because our syntax is wrong. After every statement, we want to make a semicolon. Semicolon means, okay, process this and move on to the next thing. So now that we did that, this is how our page will look. So as you can see, CSS is really good, and there's a lot of things you can do. One quickly, another tag of the day, I guess you could call it. If I want to center a tag, I center it, and just gonna get rid of this end tag, and we'll just center the header, and we're gonna get rid of this styling because I like the way it looks so far. So now, as you can see, this content is centered. That's just a really quick tag lesson for you guys, I guess you could call it. So yeah, in the next part, we're gonna style up our content a little bit. See you guys then.